Boo. Today we're gonna rank all the werewolves on this tier list. In the last episodes we did the RRVs, as you can see, and the RSVs. Today it's time for the random werewolves. Here we go. And let's just get into this right away. Wolf Summoner actually got a buff recently, like 2 months ago, because since then it can actually revive, and the player that revives actually stays alive till they get actually killed. So this is a pretty good buff. Not really creative role, but I think it's fine. I'm gonna put it on the C tier actually, just right now. A little bit bland, but now it can actually whisper all the time at daytime, meaning it actually can become some sort of leader of the team. I think that's a pretty cool thing. Alpha Werewolf has received several buffs over the past, but mostly in the last year or so. So I'm gonna put this on the C tier as well, actually. I don't think it deserves much higher or lower. We are going to a role now that is gonna deserve lower. It's just a pacifist, but then a werewolf. Of course, in terms of strategy, not really how it works. If you're gonna be claiming pacifist as wolf pacifist, you're gonna get revealed most of the times by the real pacifist, because usually that comes with a real pacifist as well in the setup. So that's not a really good thing. This role is also kind of counterproductive, because if you reveal someone, even if it's like an already confirmed villager, you still give people who are like AFK-ish a lead at the end game, who might be coming back at the end game and that they actually didn't keep track of what happened in the chat. But if you're a wolf pacifist, you have solid info. Unless there's a converter in the game, then the wolf pacifist reveal can still like change team. Even though it's really small, it's always going to be counterproductive pretty much. So I'm gonna give it an E tier. It's not like game breaking, but it's definitely not the best role design in my opinion. It's difficult to choose between S and A. I'm gonna put it on the S tier, I think. This belongs to the best werewolves in my opinion, creatively speaking. There was the werewolf that actually introduced the whole hidden votes mechanic. Pretty cool and pretty powerful in potential as well. It's one of the most creative and most fun werewolves as well with that. But yeah, not much to say other than that. Kitten Wolf actually has a problem in my opinion. In the past it was way too overpowered. In the past it would have been E or F tier because of its unbalance. Now I think it's balanced, but the problem is that you cannot choose anything as Kitten Wolf. You rely on good teammates. I'm gonna put it on the B tier, but I would put it higher if it could actually choose who would be converted next night. Of course that disables the werewolves pretty much, because the werewolves have nothing to say in that case for the next night. It would be better for the Kitten Wolf as a role if that was the case. Although on the other hand, if someone gets like marked as potential conversion target, and then for example arsonist burns midnight, then yeah, that person is not gonna get converted and there's nothing for the werewolves to do. But if that happens and the werewolves can actually decide who's gonna get converted, then the werewolves actually have the choice to select someone else. So that's the counter to the suggested change I just suggested. Like the concept of this role is pretty unique. I'm gonna have to put it on the A tier in this case. I'm a bit bad with this role. I wish it was able to actually carry over the frenzy even if it died, but I think that would be a little bit overpowered. So I have to put it on A tier, but it's definitely worth an A tier. Nightmare Werewolf is getting a C tier as well. It's kind of underwhelming nowadays that we have a voodoo werewolf in the game as well. But I think after the jailer, I think it's the second role that actually role blocks at night. So I'm not 100% sure about that. Maybe I have to look that up, but I think it's the second role that got introduced that actually enables role blocking.
Nope.
Pretty cool, and it just feels like a weak version of the voodoo nowadays. But yeah, I think C tier is okay with this role. Stubborn Werewolf. Fun role, and it's actually really strong. Not very creative. I'm gonna put it on the B tier here. And that's pretty much because of the fun and because it's kind of strong. So that's also what makes it fun most of the times. Let's be real about that. But yeah, in terms of creativity, it's not really the best. I would say like in terms of strength, I think it's balanced. Like Alpha Werewolf is still weaker, but I think it's balanced overall. I think there's gonna be a lot of cool roles today actually. I don't know if there's any really bad roles apart from the wolf pacifist today. So wolf trickster though, I'm gonna put this on the B tier as well. It's somewhat fun. It's somewhat creative. It's like a pretty all-around okay roll. I'm not gonna put it on the C tier, but it's B and nothing above the B tier for sure. But you can do some great clutches. Recently I saw a video by Minh who had a great wolf trickster clutch. I might link it in the description. I have a personal strong relation with the wolf shaman. I like this roll actually more than the trickster. It's probably weaker, but because it's less guaranteed that you're gonna be effective. But you can be so clutch with this roll. It's like the insane carry werewolf roll. And now with the recent buff that it can also enchant when it's the last werewolf, I think it's even better. I'm doubting between S and A, but I'm gonna put it on the A tier. It would be a bit over exaggerated if I put it on the S tier probably, but I'm gonna put it over the wolf trickster. Yes, I know, but that's because I think it has more originality from back in the day. It was very creative, and I don't know, I have the history with the wolf shaman more than the trickster. The trickster is fun, but the wolf shaman is the OG role here, and I like it more. It's pretty basic. I can't really say if I wanna like this or not. It's definitely not deserving of SA or the lower 3 tiers. It's either B or C. I just think I'm gonna put it on the C tier. There's not much to add to this actually. In the past I would have liked this role a lot more, but if the sorcerer nowadays with the card system, it's always fixed pretty much. So if you know if there's sorcerer in the game by just checking the role list. And if there is a known sorcerer, just all informers that are like the same kind of claim are gonna be less reliable, and everyone counts on the sorcerer, so it's less fun in that regard. It's a really fun roll when it's an like all random roll or so, or even random werewolf. That can also be fine. Otherwise than that, I have to put it on the D tier sadly, even though it's pretty good at the moment. You pretty much let down the team most of the time because the team is gonna lack info, and you know how bad it can be as werewolves to have no info and kill like a fool randomly, or a scapegoat of any sort, or just attack arsonist night 1. You know, that kind of stuff. I don't think that would have happened most of the times if you have a wolf seer. So yeah, it's kind of a solo-esque role, I would say, for the werewolves. And it can carry in potential, but I don't see it that often. Now, one of my absolute favorites here, and it's gonna go to the S tier. It's a classic S tier role for me as well. I like this one because you can tag, and I like tagging in general, but I like that you can play very aggressively as this werewolf. It doesn't matter if you die that much, you know. You can die, you can play aggressive, you can be chaotic, you can be creative, stir up the village. Sadly, I don't see enough junior werewolves in sandbox that actually do this, but it's a lot of fun to do that kind of stuff. Mess with the whole village, mess with your opponents, with their minds, make everyone unreliable, especially yourself. And yeah, it's just fun to play with this role. And then you can also just tag, so you can be useful when you die as well. So pretty great role. And I'm gonna put this on the S tier as well, because it's for different reason. Of course you can tag, which is cool. Only drawback from the split wolf if you compare it to the junior werewolf is if your tag target dies, you get refueled. But if you're a junior werewolf and your tag target dies, nothing happens. You can just select someone else. As split wolf you can of course also select someone else, but you don't get refueled, at least as junior werewolf. But still the S for the split wolf, because the split wolf starts with an S. No, just kidding. That's not the reason. The real reason is that you actually count double to the werewolf condition. So there's actually 2 ways of playing this role, which makes it really interesting. A lot of strategy going on there. If you see this video, I probably also dropped a quick guide on this video like a couple days ago. But yeah, let's put it on the S tier. I think it's fine there. There's a lot of werewolves so far on the S tier. Doubt if there's gonna be more, but yeah, who knows. One of the worst roles, in my opinion, of the werewolf team. I'm gonna put it on the D tier. Still feels like a compromise. Like, initially it was on my channel as a short, and it actually swapped the interactions on 2 players for 1 night. Like, that was actually the first idea of the Stormwolf. That's how I really liked it, because you have to make the village more aware, and they have to pay more attention. They cannot just mindlessly throw things, like witches cannot mindlessly throw potions. Seers might be manipulated in the same way that the wolf trickster does it, and the wolf shaman does it as well. But yeah, the execution of the storm wolf, it's not really something I like that much. They had to buff it again, and there is still a lot of rework ideas for this role up to this date. Also in my role contest there were Stormwolf reworks, but also in the Wolvesville Discord server I see Stormwolf remakes. So yeah, it's clearly not the perfect role. I have to put it on the D tier. Voodoo. I think it's just a nightmare werewolf, but actually less creative. I'm gonna put it on the C tier too. It's stronger, maybe more fun for that reason, but it's less creative, and creativity still matters. I don't literally count the CBF score like I did with the 2022 roles ranked, but I do still consider all those aspects because this tier list is about role design after all. And yeah, if I am gonna make a tier list about how much fun a role is to play with, yeah, I don't know if that's really something interesting. I don't know. That's not the main thing I'm doing here. Of course, fun matters a lot because otherwise the Avenger would not have been on the S tier. But yes, Voodoo Werewolf C tier, I think. That should be fine. It's similar to the Nightmare Werewolf. That's exactly why. It's stronger, so it's more fun maybe. Less creative. Let's go to the next role. Wolfenwinter actually is a pretty cool role, although I have to say it should be moved in terms of the role family, and it should be nerfed as well. I think it's too overpowered if it can manipulate vote every day. You can get a majority pretty quickly if you have a mayor who revealed. This is a B tier role for me. It's fun, it's creative, like it's pretty original. There's not such a role that really manipulates the votes of someone else. So I think that deserves a B tier. Or maybe higher, but yeah, it's just the unbalance and the wrong role tree where it belongs to. Like, how does it make sense that a junior advanced role is a role that actually needs to survive? This is one of roles I have least experience with. Like, how many games have I played as Jelly Wolf? I think like 2 or so. I don't remember playing this role that often. I don't have footage even on this role, so yeah, it's difficult for me to judge this really from my own experience.
A few moments later,
I'm gonna go with a C tier role. It's not really skill based for me, not skill based enough. There's a lot of roles that are similar, but it's pretty strong, and if you don't use your ability you get to use it again. Actually, this is not an F tier role, but it's definitely not a high role either. As you can imagine. I'm gonna put this on the D tier as well, actually. It's not really used anymore. Forkman has like the cult status, and I don't know, but for some reason the regular werewolf just doesn't. It's probably because it's still a werewolf, so it can still kill, technically speaking. And the Forkman is really nothing. But the Forkman can also still vote and talk, so there's that. It's gonna be a D tier role, sorry for the regular werewolf fans, but yeah, D tier it is. The Blind Werewolf is a very fun role. I'm gonna put it on the A tier. Only problem I really have with this role is balance. Like, if you know how to play this, this is just very strong if you compare it to the Wolfseer. And maybe also if you compare it to the Sorcerer, although those two are really distinct. The Wolfseer is something between the Blind Werewolf and the Sorcerer, but the Sorcerer and the Blind Werewolf are pretty distinct at the moment. Alright, the last actual role is gonna be the Guardian Wolf, of course, another pretty OG role. And this one, yeah, I don't know, but I think it's gonna be a C tier again. The protective kind of werewolves are not my favorite, I would say. Like, it doesn't require that much skill. Although, if you are like involved in a werewolf team but also in a couple, then it might actually require some skill. In some situations it might be worth like not protecting or protecting. But most of the time you will just see the Guardian Werewolf protecting the first player of the werewolf team that's gonna get voted. So yeah. Like, I even see Guardian Werewolves protecting the Junior Werewolf. Then I think to myself, what the hell are you doing? Do you know anything about the purpose of werewolves? But okay, that's enough of ranting. In the past, the random werewolf category had like the regular werewolf and the OP kitten wolf in it, and that made it very unbalanced. And it's still unbalanced to some extent, of course, because there's definitely a huge difference between getting let's say a wolf pacifist, a wolf shaman, or on the other hand an extra shadow wolf or a stubborn werewolf or whatever. So there's a big difference there. But nonetheless, it's not as unbalanced anymore as it used to be, because the kitten wolf was really, really strong back then. Like, if you had a random werewolf kitten wolf and the kitten wolf could just convert someone without needing to die, the village did not know there was a kitten wolf, so they never would have in their mind that someone would be converted till someone who was actually very reliable suddenly turned sus. But yeah, so yeah, that's why it was not balanced. And yeah, on the other extreme you had the regular werewolf, of course, which was like a big loss for the werewolves if they got a regular werewolf from the random werewolf. But yeah, I'm gonna put it on the A tier actually nowadays. It's pretty good. I would have put it on the C tier in the past perhaps, but now it's definitely an A tier category. Of course, we have to speak of categories here. So yeah, this tier list, a lot of positivity actually. Only one E roll and no F rolls today. Let me know how you think of this tier list. And of course, I will see you later in... If you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you will also love this one right here. So go click on it and tell them you came from this video. You can also subscribe and turn on the bell to never miss any new Wolvesville video anymore. Trust me, they only get better. I will then see you later, and don't be a traitor. Goodbye.